Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hot Topics, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, every weekday here on the Don Lemon Show, the Don Lemon Channel. We're so happy that you're here. What a week it was. You thought week one? You thought that was crazy and chaotic? Well, week two came along and said, week one, hold my beer. The DEI of it all. There's tragedy. There's rescinding of orders, and who knows with this administration. Maybe Reecie Colbert can sort it out for us. She's an author, she's a political commentator, and she's the host of SiriusXM's The Reecie Colbert Show. Hello, Reecie Colbert. Now, am I right?
Hey, Don.
Week two said, week one, hold my beer. I got something for you behind.
Woo, child. Week two came in hotter. Like, you're hitting them corners hot. Okay, every week we just bobbing and weaving back and forth. It's too much. It's too much, Don.
Yeah.
Come on.
What's on your mind? What stories stand out to you? You want to go back to the beginning of the week? You want to start from where we are now?
Look, it's your show, but I mean, I'm sure what's at the top of everybody's mind is this tragic crash, and on top of the crash being so tragic, the swiftness through which these racists have immediately gone to DEI. Why is DEI in it when there's a helicopter that crashes tragically into a passenger aircraft? That's really something that I think is going to bug me for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Reecie, I know that, since we've talked a little bit, I know that there is, considering what you just said, there was a moment at the press conference that really stood out to you. And I think it is with the newly installed Secretary of Defense, who is a DUI hire.
Right.
Pete Hegseth. Let's play the moment, and I'm going to get you to react to it. Here it is.
What the Transportation Secretary and you, Mr. President, said, because it pertains to the DOD as well. We will have the best and brightest in every position possible. As you said in your inaugural, it is colorblind and merit-based. The best leaders possible, whether it's flying Black Hawks and flying airplanes, leading platoons, or in government. The era of DEI is gone at the Defense Department. And we need the best and brightest, whether it's in our air traffic control, or whether it's in our generals, or whether it's throughout government. So thank you for your leadership and courage on that, sir, and we'll stand by you on it. Thank you.
Reecie, take it away, because I don't know what... By the way, everybody standing up on that stage, all four of the, by the way, white men, one after another,
Yeah.
in their definition of DEI, they would all be DEI hires because not one of them is qualified for the job that they have. But go ahead.
Exactly. Apparently, a protected class in the Donald Trump administration is former Fox News host. Okay. So if that's the DEI, it's getting Fox News hosts and commentators into the cabinet. He is so sickening, despicable, and disgusting. Okay. This man is so unqualified that even Mitch McConnell voted against him. Do you know how bad you have to be for Mitch McConnell, who has been singularly focused on getting every single Republican wish list under the sun passed over the finish line, said, this is a bridge too far for me. So the idea that DEI is associated with lack of qualifications, lack of credentials, is so completely ridiculous, especially when it comes from a scumbag, degenerate DUI hire like Pete Hegseth. We went from a 4-star general who happened to be Black to a Fox News host with all kind of baby mamas and a whole cabal of kids and sexual assault settlements and all kind of stuff that we got going on. This is the biggest downgrade in the history of American defense secretaries. And he has the audacity to talk about the best and the brightest. Then you would not be on that stage.
Yeah. Look, when I said DUI, it was kind of a slip of the tongue. You said DUI. Has he actually ever been charged with a DUI? We know that he's...
You know what? Yeah, we probably shouldn't play that because they're getting very litigious. So,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'll retract DUI. Okay. But let me just say this. The reality is that we are not looking at the best and the brightest unless you're doing white math and your white math says that this, whatever rank he is, exceeds the rank of a 4-star general because the multiplier is white. This man is bringing in something that don't have anything to do with the issue at hand. Why aren't they talking about, well, maybe we should reevaluate whether we should do training exercises in very complicated airspace? Maybe we should evaluate if the night goggles were, or night vision was functioning properly, or if the radar, or whatever the situation may be. Talking about we need more specific coordinates when you, instead of just plan behind. Maybe there should be certain criteria put on who gets to do training exercises at night. Instead of having that conversation, you're just going right to DEI. And that's why America is not going to be safer under Donald Trump, and certainly not under Pete Hegseth, because we have unserious people in charge that don't want to actually tackle the real problems and the threats that we face. And there are many of them. They just want to go back to their racist playbook. Just say the N-word and be done with it. Just say it with your chest, because that's what you really want to do. Just fly that Klan flag and say what you mean and quit beating around the bush.
Well, I'm wondering what are they saying when they say DEI? When you read between the lines, what do they mean when they say that, Reecie?
Black, 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 black. That's what they mean.
Who gets the least benefits from DEI? African Americans. Number one, white women. Number two, white male executives. And blacks are the least. Blacks at the bottom of the list when it comes to being a beneficiary of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
You're talking quantifiable data. You're talking evidence. I'm talking about how people feel. It's kind of the same way where we had people who heard Donald Trump say that he's going to mass deport illegals. And there were people who are here who don't have their citizenship who said, well, he ain't talking about me. I don't commit crimes. Hello, the cognitive dissonance there. Like, yes, he is talking about you. And so you have a population of people who have benefited, who are white, right, from DEI. Let me get it right. Veterans, white women, and a whole other slew of people. Also, DEIA includes accessibility. So people who have different disabilities or different abilities, however you want to characterize it, as well as people who are LGBTQ who could be white as well. But when they hear that, it's the vision. It's like, they say, if you close your eyes, remember A Time to Kill? Matthew McConaughey said, close your eyes. Now imagine she was white. It's what they hear. When they see, they visualize something other than the actual quantitative beneficiaries of it. They visualize us. And that's what makes it so powerful for them as a weapon to use for their propaganda.
Yeah. I want to play this one. This is the Vice President, J.D. Vance, on his version of why this happened and what needs to be done.
Said that I think bears re-emphasizing, which is that when you don't have the best standards in who you're hiring, it means on the one hand, you're not getting the best people in government, but on the other hand, it puts stresses on the people who are already there. And I think.
So what do you think? So here, look, I spoke to a lawmaker via text earlier today, and this is what the lawmaker said when he's talking about that. Lawmaker said, she said, are they DEI hires, or they took spots of what probably should have been DEI hires because they are all unqualified, and the only way they could get the job was if the pool didn't include diverse candidates.
Ooh. Okay. Now, can we have that conversation?
And you probably know who sent me that, but I can let you guess. I can just let you get.
I'll guess, but I won't say. I'll take a wild guess. I'll keep it on the low. No, but the fact of the matter is, the problem that we have here is we're talking about people's feelings. We had a caller. I was on Clay Kane's show yesterday, and we had a caller, a white man, call in and say that he was turned down for a job with the Long Island PD, and so I gave the statistics of how 0.1% of Black applicants were accepted over a 10-year period. And so what these people feel, the MAGA group of people feel, is that even one of them being rejected for a job that they feel like they should have gotten is a problem. And that's what they're trying to eliminate. So they can't fathom the idea that you were rejected because you weren't the best and the brightest. Which is so crazy, because we know that we have to be 10 times better than anybody else to get there. So when I walk into a plane, if I see a Black pilot, if I see a Black woman pilot, if I see a woman pilot, I say, okay, we're in good hands. I'm not saying I have a problem if it's a white man, but I know that you're not in that seat unless you pass everything times 10.
Yeah. Now, my mom, who's been on this earth for a long time, over 80 years, she said to me when she came to visit me in this last spring, she and my sister and my family, they said, my mom came in, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I don't really like flying, right?" And I said, "Yeah, Mom." She goes, "That was the smoothest flight I ever had." And she said, when we got on the plane, it was a black pilot and he greeted us at the door. And she said, "I was happy to see him, but I had no idea." She goes, "I'm telling you, that was the smoothest flight I ever had." And I was like, "Okay, Mom." And she's saying this in front of a room full of people of different ethnicities. And, I'm like, "Okay, Mom was right, probably to be touting the talents of a black pilot."
Right. Well, why don't we do more of that? I mean, they are winning the messaging war around DEI when we try to say that in spite of being black, we are qualified and da 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 da. Our value and our worth and our experience as a black person adds to our qualification. It doesn't detract from it. It's not beside the point. And so what I want to see is I want to see Democrats in particular, and I thought that Secretary Pete Buttigieg put out a good statement. It wasn't specifically about DEI, but I want to see
Stand
these
back
folks.
and stand by.
Okay, you got it. All right.
Because I'm going to play that because I was going to say he just didn't go after black people, right? Did you finish what you wanted to say before I play the piece?
No, I just want to see. I want to see Democrats unrecognized, and not just Democrats, but people of humanity recognize that this DEI as a weapon thing, the only way to stop it is to, one, affirm the value of diverse experiences. And then number two, let's just start calling it what it is. You're racist.
Yes.
Just say you don't want black people, and then we can have that conversation.
Yeah, but you don't want black people, but also how he insulted, I think Donald Trump insulted people with disabilities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, but he also insulted the LGBTQ community. And he did it through the former Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. This is what he said about Pete Buttigieg. Watch.
And I assume maybe this is the reason the FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit. The Department of Transportation, his government agency charged with regulating civil aviation. Well, he runs it, 45,000 people, and he's run it right into the ground with his diversity. So I had to say that it's terrible. Then it's...
So you just said, well, he's gay.
Yeah.
And Pete Buttigieg responded by saying, "Despicable. As families grieve, Trump should be leading, not lying. We put safety first. Drove down close calls, grew air traffic control, and had zero commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch. President Trump now oversees the military and the FAA. One of his first acts was to fire and suspend some of the key personnel who helped keep our skies safe. Time for the president to show actual leadership and explain what he will do to prevent this from happening again." Pete Buttigieg. Let's say
that's the
Reecie
energy.
Colbert.
That's the energy that we need. Matter of fact, Pete, okay, you got your tweet. I want that on video. I want you talking. I want you on the networks. I want you going live on IG, something. Get out there. We have to fight back with this deluge of disinformation. And I know that people might feel like it's tacky to politicize it and, they're politicizing it, but we shouldn't do that. Hell no. You got to fight back on these things. Pete Buttigieg is not over the FAA. The FAA doesn't have a head because he was pressured to resign despite the fact that he had time left on his term. So the accountability needs to be with the people in charge. Guess what, Trump? You won the White House, you got the Senate, you got the Congress, the House of Representatives, and you have the Supreme Court. I don't want to hear Biden, Obama, Kamala, nobody's name. I don't even want to hear Nancy Pelosi's name. It's all on you, boo. So what you going to do? Come out there and actually be an adult for once and talk about what you're going to do to make it safer. I'm flying out on Sunday. I'm not gonna feel better because this president done got up there and talked about DEI. I would feel better if he got up there and said, well, shoot, we got to figure out flight paths and we got to figure out, maybe we need to hire more air traffic controllers. We got to figure out what went wrong. If he was on topic, I would feel better. But he's an unserious, hateful, evil, demonic man. And that is what is very concerning because we have a lot more left of his tenure to go.
I just want you to stand by and I want you to watch this because this is him now after he had, his say. Reporters asked him questions, and I'm not sure that he quite hit the mark on the answers. Here it is.
Mr. President, on DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological quality, and psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden, and Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior, and that's what we're going to have. Yeah, yeah, please, go ahead.
Can we, do you know what eugenics is?
Thank you. Please.
Do you know what eugenics is? Which is basically saying that by people's ethnicity, that they are, that they are either smarter than someone, right? Or they are not as smart because of eugenics, a study of how to arrange reproduction within a human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable. He wants to sort of recreate our government and our society in the fashion of eugenics, because he believes, at least that's what he's insinuating or intimating in his words, and all of the people who are up there.
Right. I mean, this is race junk science. Be very clear, it's junk. And he used brain power, like brains, higher brain power. He talked about psychological, intellectual abilities, and he's attaching that with DEI being the opposite of that. So that it's very clear his message is that when you try to get diverse people in, then you are sacrificing brain power and you're sacrificing the ability to interact in these situations. And by the way, we don't know who these pilots are. We don't know if anybody who ain't even a white man was involved in the situation, but they're just going there because that's what they have to work with, as opposed to accountability. Everything should not go back to ideological warfare. Some things should be about actually tackling the issue at hand. And by the way, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has been going through his hearings, he's trafficked in a lot of these race junk science ideas that Black people should have a different vaccine schedules because our bodies have respond to pain differently and all kind of crazy mess. This is now, unfortunately, the administration that is perpetuating race junk science in a way that wants to freeze people out that are qualified, be very clear, of jobs in a time where we actually need more people. We need more traffic controllers, which, by the way, they put a hiring freeze on the FAA. We need more people in our government, not less. But when you make the criteria being white and male, that's not going to make us safer, and that's not going to make us more prosperous. But they don't care.
So we're getting some of the names of the folks, at least reportedly in the media, as of this taping, Reecie. The pilots in the American Eagle jet and mid-air crash over D.C. It is reported to be Jonathan Campos, who, by the way, has the same last name of Ryan's, what's his name? The transportation secretary, the new transportation. His wife,
reality TV star.
Yeah. His wife is also Rachel Campos. So same diversity. So maybe they're saying they're thinking because his name is Campos, somehow it's a diversity hire. First Officer Samuel Lilly, and I think there is an African-American flight attendant who is among them. And then there's a co-pilot who appears to be a white young man. So I don't know. Let's see. And I don't know as far as who was on the helicopter. So,
and that's the thing, Don.
Why? Duffy is his name. Is it
Sean Duffy? Yeah.
Sean Duffy, yeah.
But can I just say, Don, how just cruel this is? Some of these families, they might be waiting to hear if their loved ones were part of the helicopter crew, the Black Hawk crew. They haven't released the names because they're trying to notify the families. And so there could be Black families, Latino families, Asian families, whatever kind of families, and white families. Be clear, all of these people are waiting to hear this news, and they're already going at, when you're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're already impugning the qualities and the qualifications of these people who are all victims. This is a tragic, hopefully we'll find that it's an accident and it wasn't deliberate, but all of these people are victims. And so by impugning their qualifications, that is a slap in the face of all of these people who have tragically lost their lives.
Well, as we have heard from the reports, even from Sean Duffy, that everything was going, according to plan.
Yeah.
And it would appear if anyone is at fault, you would think, I'm not sure, they're still investigating, but the helicopter, why is that helicopter in airspace for an airplane like that? And so it wouldn't be the American Airlines diverse pilot that did it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It
right.
would be.
No, exactly.
It would perhaps be, again, the investigation has to play out. The Black Hawk helicopter pilot, I believe, involved was a white guy. So as of this taping.
Yeah.
And so what's the DEI of it then?
It's just propaganda. It's propaganda. Let's get people spun up on these things. And I just want to go back to something J.D. Vance said. J.D. Vance essentially said that the existence of diversity in a workforce can essentially demoralize the actual qualified people there, insinuating white. So that's their, even if it wasn't a white, even if there wasn't a diverse, so-called diverse person, which is just a human being, even if it wasn't a diverse person, just the fact that we know that DEI exists in these agencies, that's enough to make me more stressed out and more frustrated and unable to do my job. And there might be some point of that when you have a propaganda machine that tries to convince people and indoctrinate people with the idea that people not looking like them and being from the same background with them are unworthy of being in that space and are unqualified. Yeah, that could stress them out. But they're the ones who are perpetuating that, not the people who are there doing their jobs who are actually qualified. It's the J.D. Vances and the Hexes and the Trumps and the Musks and the Ramaswamis and all these other people out there perpetuating this false notion, this racist propaganda that people who are not white men are not qualified to sit in these positions.
Let's start with let's go back now. Not start. Let's go back to the start of the week. When, hey, it comes out where everybody's minding their own business. And then all of a sudden, we are freezing all federal funds for everything. Or we're just freezing them. And everybody's like, wait, what? How do I pay my employees? How do I get people's, checks out and the care that they need for everything? Are EBT cards, people who rely on that to supplement their incomes, is that going to, and put food on their table, is that going to be, am I going to get that? Are they going to get that? Are we going to get our Medicare, our Medicaid? What? Yep. And they're like, they don't know. And then they take it to the judge. The judge puts a halt on it, right? After they caused all this chaos. People who worked in federal agencies couldn't even get into the portal to be able to do their business. They take it to the court. The judge says, it appears you guys don't know what you're doing. I'm putting a pause on the freeze.
Yeah.
Then they try to pull a fast one and say, we have rescinded the memo. And everyone's like, okay, great. They backtrack. No, we rescinded the memo, the press secretary says, but the orders are still in place. Okay. The lawyers take it back to the judge, and the judge is like, no, did you not hear me?
Right.
You're not doing this, okay?
Yeah.
And so we end up where we are. And the freezing of these funds could potentially have affected some of the federal agencies that are involved in air traffic or folks. And so, Reecie, you have a very interesting take on this, where you think that you think he's promoting anti-white legislation.
Yeah.
And here's Reecie. This went viral, by the way. Watch.
Hey, MAGA. Just to let you know, your funky ass president is waging war on white people. Now I know what you're thinking. White people? Oh no, he's not after us. He's after this woke, Marxist, transgenderism, DEI, Green New Deal ideology. He's gonna leave us alone. He's gonna secure the border. Bitch, please. He's using all of that as an excuse to wage war on whites. Because it's more of y'all than there are of us. And a lot of y'all are taking a lot from the people at the top. So when Donald Trump tries to put out a widespread blanket pause on all federal funding, that's a war on you white people, you red states in particular, because you red states take more from the federal government than what you put in. And so when, for instance, it's been reported that the Medicaid is being blocked in all states, who's going to have a harder time bridging that gap while the Trump administration decides to play Russian fucking roulette with your health care? So I just want you to be aware of this, not because I want to be particularly helpful to a bunch of white nationalists, but because you haven't been told yet that all this shit is fake. We don't have an invasion at the border. We don't have children getting transgender reassignment surgeries in fucking elementary school. They're using your bigotry and stupidity to give them license to trample all over you. This, we're looking for DEI and all that shit. Get the fuck out of here. DEI benefits white people just as much as it benefits anybody the fuck else. But that's what you want to hear. So that's what they play on. They play on your fears and your desire to inflict cruelty on everybody but you. What you've been cheering on to strip from other people, they coming for your ass first. Because they gotta go through y'all to get to us. That's how all of this stuff works. So here's a little bit of advice for you. You better get out there. You better get fucking loud. If you want to hold on to that little shit that you got going on, your guns and your butter and your Bibles, you better start motherfucking talking. Because right now, Donald Trump is pulling your punk cards. He's seeing how much he can get away with, how quickly, him and his Project 2025 cronies. And if you're quiet, he gonna get away with a whole lot more. So when he backtracks, don't find comfort in, people just had it wrong and they just misconstrued it. No. You better fight for your motherfucking rights, bitch, because he's coming after you whites, you poor ones that are taking up all the resources. He's coming after y'all, guns blazing. So buckle up, bitches. Congratulations, you played yourself.
So, Reecie, you bring up a very good point, because the people who would be most affected by these freezes in a negative way would be Donald Trump's own voters.
Right.
Poor people in red states, white people.
Yes.
MAGA folks would be most affected by a freeze, and yet and still they are standing by their dear leader.
Absolutely. And that's why I just want, I feel like, do white people know that this is a war on y'all? Because they, as I said in my video, they have to go through y'all to get to us. I know that they think that, they could just carve out the blacks and the Latinos and only get us, down and in the dumps. Nah, it's a lot of y'all that got to go through, because they're the beneficiaries, the primary beneficiaries, numerically speaking, volume wise. I know that we talk a lot in proportions and disproportionately this, disproportionately that, but just the pure raw numbers of it, they're the primary beneficiaries of these things. And so when they are trying to cut Head Start and Meals on Wheels and Medicaid and all of those things, that's white people that voted for Trump that are going to be impacted by it. So I just felt like somebody should say that, because we spend so much time talking about the war on DEI. And then I think a lot of white folks who support that kind of stuff are kicking up their feet thinking like, okay, well, that's them over there.
Yeah. You bring up a very good point. You said the ones who support that stuff, because not all white people support that. And a lot of them watch this channel.
Yes.
And they know what we're talking about. They know that we're not demonizing all white people or talking trash on all white people, because there are a lot of people out here and they see through, a lot of white people out here who see through this bullshit.
Yeah. And I make the distinction. Not everybody supports this. That's why I started off saying, "Hey, MAGA." I hope that y'all understand. The people that voted for Kamala Harris, the people that voted for Democrats, they understand that they voting for Trump is cutting off their nose to spite their face, and so they've chosen rationally. And the reality is that one of the things that I mentioned this week is that the House majority was decided by 7,400 votes out of 147 million votes cast. So if we can get a couple of these people, they may not be hardcore MAGA, they may be MAGA adjacent, to realize like, hey, I still want my Medicare, I still want my Medicaid, I still want my Meals on Wheels and my EBT and my food stamps and all that stuff. Maybe we can kind of shift things a little bit. So I want to talk to them and let them know you are impacted beyond what they're talking about DEI being the main focus.
Yeah. Reecie Colbert, I always appreciate your wisdom and your chutzpah.
Thank you, Don.
And Reecie is an author, and she is the host of the Reecie Colbert Show.
Mm-hmm. On SiriusXM.
On SiriusXM. We can find her on social media where you can check where lots of her stuff goes viral all the time. Reecie, thank you for appearing.
Thank you, Don. Always good to be with you. Be well.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.